Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Change of plans. I get the review of friend of mine's film called Before the Sun. It is available on TELUS TV or Paramount Plus here in Canada. It is called Before the Sun. I tell you, I was captivated by the visuals in this movie. I was enthralled by the story. It's about this First Nations family that is a horse racing family, and it's about a young female rider whose dream is to compete in the world championships. In I believe it's called Jasper, and her name is Logan, and it's a great movie because it really establishes what rural living is like and how much it impacts your day-to-day life, and it also shows the internal family struggle. They mention her losing her grandmother the previous summer, and she's a very unique person in the fact that there's not very many other riders in Canada, to the point where later in the film she participates in the first ever ladies championship in Canada. And but it's a real great film in the sense that her father doesn't want her to be racing full time. He'd rather her be in school and getting her education because he dropped out in grade 11 and he knows the struggles of being uneducated, and he doesn't want his daughter to have to suffer in that way. But the thing is, his daughter is so attached to the world of racing and doesn't want to give it up and works very hard at what she does. And there's even a scene in this movie where they're wrangling up wild horses to train and do pasture work. Because she lives on a ranch. That's the amazing part of this is she lives on a ranch and she gets up at 4 a.m. And it's absolutely ridiculous how much this young lady trains. And might I compliment the cinematography in this movie? There are shots in this movie, there are close-ups in this movie that are great. The backdrop to this whole film is amazing. The story is wonderful. And it really shows in contrast to how her father feels versus how she feels about racing. Because there's a scene in this movie where she wipes out. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. She wipes out, and then she's all gashed up, and her dad was in the broadcast booth, or not in the broadcast booth, but by the broadcast area. And yeah, it's one of those things where any father, her brother is actually on her racing team and he's running, and her dad's running, they're all concerned. And they actually have footage, which is I very much appreciate, of the cuts and the bruises and everything that she goes through to be a horse racer. Because she doesn't just compete in the ladies division. This is the most astonishing thing to me. She is so dedicated to her craft that she competes amongst the men at the Calgary Stampede. And that's really the first time you see the father's concern, because up until then, he's training her, he's racing with her, he's practicing with her every day. And he wants her to get better, to do her best. And he eventually says to her, "This is the only time I'm going to allow this to happen in Calgary. So do your best." And this is the Calgary Stampede, and I'm nervous. I wish my grandmother was here because this is known as the greatest show on earth, especially here in Canada. CBC makes a 10-day event of this thing. Then there's different nations racing in this relay, and they're all men's racers. And Logan just gives it her best, and she races timid by her own admission in Calgary, and she just doesn't want to fall off. And because of that, she finishes fourth. in this race that she really wants to win, but she just wanted to prove that she belonged there. But her real aspirations are to be in Jasper and win a world title. And the first year, she's watching Jasper on TV and she's this totally sucks. I can't believe I have to sit here and watch this. And, that there are different things, and her dad, after Calgary, thinks that she should be done. But her mom sees how much she's training, and she says, my girl is too dedicated to this craft that she just loves it too much, so I'm going to support her. And there's also the scene where her brother is helping her wrangle these new horses. And she tells a story about how she got a horse on her 19th birthday. And it's really special because the bond she has with her brother, because her brother is a personal trainer, and she says that he develops workouts for her to be able to do. And I really enjoyed the bond between the brother and his sister because she is doubted by both her parents at one point in this movie. Because I guess it's really a documentary. Either way, I think it's great. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. But it's really powerful. I wish I had footage of this movie that I could sprinkle in here. It's really great. It's wonderful. But the thing that bothers me, the nitpick that I had in this movie, I guess it's really a small thing, is that the family would try to put obstacles in her way. And being an Indigenous female who wants to be the first champion, I find it odd that the parents would put obstacles in her way because they're worried. I think they'd want their child to push further and farther into passion, to the point she's so passionate that her dad takes off to a relay for men's because he's got his own team with her brother riding the horses. And he basically leaves her out because there's no ladies' race in wherever they were going. So she gets left at home. But then she gets a phone call where they found a lady that's willing to race her. And she's nervous because, like, she's coming off of Calgary and she's been training really hard. And again, she learns that she needs to jump off the horse while the horse is in motion. And so she goes to this race in Canada. So it's the first ever female championship relay race. Now, normally in a relay race, I learned in this movie, there's three horses, but in this one, there's one transfer. So they got to get off the horse and it's 2 laps around the track. And she wins and she's so happy because she explains that earlier that she's gone through a breakup and it was very manipulative and everything else. And she's healed my broken heart. And she's talking to this horse. And there's a couple of poignant moments in this movie that I really enjoyed. There's this scene with her and her brother, and she's upset because she didn't do as well as she thought she could, and she's crying. And she tell people that her grandmother would say that she's always a champion, and her brother's sitting right there with her. As I said, the bond between the brother and sister is absolutely incredible. And I like the scene too where she's like waking up at 4 in the morning and she's training, saying or be the same, and winners win and losers complain or something like that. It's a really inspirational to look at this life of this person, and it's a great movie. Like I said, any nitpick I have is very small. The mom even is willing to take her to where her dad is because her dad left early because he didn't think he had to take her. but they had to get to this race, and she's asking everybody if she can borrow a truck, get some hay, and she has to drive. This is one of the funniest scenes in the movie. She has to drive with the hay on the back of a car. This is how dedicated somebody is to the sport, and it's wonderful. And the hay falls off, so she has to reattach it. And she's like, "Oh, this dude made it look so easy because the bales of hay are heavy." And she gets there, and she wins the race, like I said earlier. And yeah, it's a wonderful thing because then she gets to Jasper because of winning the championship. She qualifies. So she goes down and she mentions while she's sitting outside that people in the US or the females in the US don't take Canadian riders seriously because there's not many of them and they can't really compete. But again, like I said, there are 13 riders in this competition, she explains. And then she goes and finishes third in her heat. And the dad is worried because he's seen how seriously injured people get in this sport. People are in wheelchairs. People have been bruised and battered. And there's even a scene in this championship race where one of the riders, because five make the field of the finals, and she finishes second. But there's a scene in this race where somebody falls off and they can barely get up. They're on all fours during the course of this race. And the horse actually turned wide. Otherwise, she believes that she could have finished first because she finishes second in the race. And then she says when she gets home that she wants to do better in Calgary next year because her father wants her to go to school. They almost told her no, that she couldn't go to Jasper. There's a scene where they're having dinner and they're like, "You can't go because you have school." And she worked it out that her classes and she can still go. But she's already looking forward to Calgary next year because she says that person that I could beat her on better than I was before. And this is just a great movie. And my buddy says I should start giving out of tens, and this is a solid 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. Again, it's on Paramount Plus in Canada, and it's on TELUS TV as well. So if you get the chance, check it out. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button once again. And until next time, may your ego come from a place that keeps you humble. I'm Mo Money. Mamba out.